about is, can we start to win by learning to lose? Genevieve would not let me have this be the real title of the talk. She was super uncomfortable with me pitching losing. So consider yourselves at the forefront. The thing is, we're already losing, right? Power in state legislatures is held by conservatives overwhelmingly, which, as we know, means that they're consolidating power every 10 years. If we're stopping our thinking at the state legislatures, we're doing ourselves a disservice. I counted at the state legislative level and below, every 2 years across the country, there are over 300,000 seats. So potentially we could have hundreds of thousands of progressive and Democratic candidates on the ballot every year, but we don't. One of the reasons is that people aren't running for the seats that are available. In Virginia in 2015, over 2/3 of the House of Delegates races were uncontested. And as you can see from the map, most of those were in Republican seats. So it was mostly Republicans who were running without a Democrat on the ballot. So, pop quiz. Can you win without running? Listen to your friend here. You cannot win without running. And so then the question is, why aren't people running? So everybody who's thought about running for office or decided not to, can you guys everybody think of a couple of reasons why not to run for office? Are you getting these? We're gonna say them on the count, say your first reason on the count of 3. Is everybody ready? We should yell these. 1, 2, 3. Did I hear this one? People don't want to lose, right? You guys don't want to lose. And what do you ask people when they tell you they're running for office? Are you going to win? Often the first question that we ask, right? So we've got this big cultural thing about winning. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. Have you heard that? Yeah. Does anybody else have friends who are uncomfortable playing Monopoly against them because they're too competitive? Is that just me? Yeah, we like to win. But at the same time, we're asking candidates, oh, you should run where you can win. Wait for a race you can win. Can you win in this race? We are sending our kids out on sports fields every week to go play and lose over and over and over again. This is a fun Google search, by the way, if you ever want to Google, sad losing sports kids. And why do we do this? Because we know that our kids need to learn lessons from showing up and playing the game that they can only learn by showing up and playing the game. And they're going to learn some lessons from losing that they can only learn by losing. And that's how we turn them into competent adult humans over time who can pick themselves up and keep moving forward. So then why are we saying to candidates, oh, don't run if you can't win? Because it turns out being a candidate, there are also lessons that you learn that you can only learn being a candidate, and some lessons that you can only learn by losing. And they turn out to be really critical lessons so that when you are running down the road, you know things after having run the first time that you never have to learn again. So this is my first challenge to us as a movement, is to fully incorporate losing as a key part of any long-term strategy. So a couple of things here's what this might look like for candidates. You might think about losing big first before you win small. If you're thinking about running for the office for the first time, why not run statewide or in a congressional district? Just do it, dude. You're gonna get name recognition, your name's gonna be on the ballot in front of a whole bunch of people, you're gonna build volunteers, you're gonna have had the necessity of putting together your list and asking for money and talking to your friends. You're gonna accomplish a lot of goals that you wouldn't have otherwise without running. And you get the press will probably cover you for being that crazy person who thought they could run statewide. But then you have the opportunity to use those resources to consolidate power for the people that you care about in your district or in another district. And then in a couple years, after you've sent out all your volunteers mobilizing for the Democrat in your district, and they're like, that lady was crazy enough to run statewide, but man, her volunteers knocked on a lot of doors for me. You start to become a party builder and a power broker. And in a couple of years, everybody's seen your name on the ballot, and it's much easier to run for a smaller race, right? So that's one trajectory you could pick, is lose big to win small. Another strategy, pace yourself then sprint. We have this story about running for office that you have to quit your job and have an independently wealthy spouse and have kids that don't need taken care of and parents that don't need taken care of and a house that doesn't need taken care of and the ability to go run full time and be on the phone doing call time for 35 hours a week. But why not start learning some of the lessons when you can't do that? Like what kind of candidates are we getting when those are our requirements, right? B, so why don't you start learning some of the lessons by running part-time? Think about running in a half-assed kind of way at first. Pick something you're gonna lose that's tiny. It's like, whatever, nobody cares. And consolidate your list and get it organized and send out a fundraising email and lose. And then next year, do it again. And then lose. And then next year, do it again. And it's no big deal. And then all of a sudden, redistricting happens. And all of a sudden, you've had more conversations with voters in that district than anybody else had. And then you can be like Katie Ledecky, right? She's been at swim practice this whole time. And then you can remortgage your house and renegotiate your child care agreements and quit your job and run like hell and be in a much better place to win. So that's the second trajectory. I am running a little late, so I will tell you the other thing that I came up with, the reason that people aren't running, is they feel unsupported. Who do I call? How do I raise money? What do I do next? I went to a training. I'm fired up. I'm excited. I have a pocket full of business cards and a binder. What do I do next? So my next challenge to us is that if we're going to support candidates at every level, we need to build institutions to do that. Just in 2018, there are 67,000 races on the ballot at the state legislative and municipal election level. So if we're gonna support candidates who are running in all of those different scenarios, who are running to lose, who are running big before running small, how are we gonna do it with 67,000 people? We have to build institutions at scale. We have to find a different way to move forward besides targeting, right? We have to be able to support losers also. And we have to make it self-funding because the money can't be limited. And that's what we're doing at Campaign Greenhouse. Campaign Greenhouse is a company. It is, I know, thank you. Which, for those of you who are steeped in electoral finance law, it gives us a lot of freedom. So we support candidates all the way through their elections. Candidates subscribe for less than $100 a month, and they get week-by-week support from humans all the way through the election. They're funding it themselves. We're also connecting them with experts and consultants and power brokers to knock down the barriers of access to power. And then we work with partner organizations to support as many candidates as possible. So you don't have to say, let's spend 100 hours of staff time and $200,000 in legal overhead deciding who we can target. Let's help everybody. And then let's look into their data and see who's running the best kind of race. And let's put our money into those races. So we're hoping that it creates more equitable targeting in the long run. We're piloting this year. There was my 10 minutes. You always got to keep your own time. We're piloting this year. We have candidates in 8 states. A third of them are 2018 candidates. We are building our tech to be ready to support a big influx of people in 2018. And even though I love losing, at the moment we have a 100% win record. We worked for just a little bit of time with Lori Lyon, who was a first-time candidate, one of 13 candidates in the Waukee, Iowa school board election. There were 4 seats available. She, first-time candidate, top vote getter, and the only non-incumbent to win. And we just had to do a little bit of help for Lori to make a huge difference in her race. So if we think of losing as a strategy, we build institutions at scale, I think we're going to be able to make successes like Lori happen a lot more often. And now that Lori knows how to run and that she can be supported while she's running, she's much more likely to run again, which turns out to be important. So here's my contact info. I hope I have given you a couple of things to think about. Yay, losing. And I'm around and would love to talk with y'all, especially if you have buckets of candidates that you're working with or are interested in supporting candidates over the long term. Thank you.